This is a video on how to write an effective CV or resume that gets you interviews in 2023. I'm going to highlight the 4 most important sections of your CV, and I'll be giving you 5 tips on how to get your CV noticed, plus a bonus tip. Keep watching. The first most important section of your CV is your professional profile, also known as the executive summary. This is an important introduction to your skills, experiences, and education. The second most important section of your CV is your employment history or experience section. This is where you give full details of your practical experience, skills, and achievements. The third most important section of your CV is your education and qualification section, where you list all relevant education and training you've received. The final most important section of your CV is the key skills and achievements section. This is where you list all relevant key skills and achievements using keywords that are searchable by recruiters and application tracking systems. The section that you can afford to leave out are the following: hobbies and interest or activities section. Only include this section if you have relevant hobbies and interests. The next section is the reference section. Never include reference details on your CV. You can always provide these at a later stage. The next section is the application objective section. Exclude this section to make your CV more concise. Finally, don't give away any personal information such as your date of birth, your full address, your marital status, and even a photo of yourself. Now let's look at the 5 tips that will make your CV stand out. Tip number 1, keep it simple. What makes a CV or resume stand out? Well, it's not the design or the color scheme, and you don't need to make it fancy with bright colors and a cluttered layout. When I was a pharmaceutical recruiter, I preferred to review CVs with a simple layout. The design of the CV doesn't really matter. It's the content and clarity that matters. The CV should be concise and well organized. There should be no typos or grammatical errors. A simple layout with informative content is enough. Remember, the point of your CV is to sell your skills and experiences in return for work. So keep it simple. Check the link in the description box for my Keep It Simple resume template. And yes, it's free. Tip number 2 is to arrange your CV or resume in the correct order. And by this I mean, arrange the 4 key sections of your CV in the right order according to your level of experience. I'll explain. There are 2 types of CVs according to your level of experience: an education-focused CV and an experience-focused CV. In the education-focused CV, the education section is at the top of the CV, right after the professional profile section. This type of CV is for job hunters who don't have much experience, but they have a qualification. So for example, students and graduates. In the experience-focused CV, the experience section is at the top of the CV, right after the professional profile, and then all other sections follow. This type of CV is of course for experienced job hunters who have a lot of skill and expertise to offer. Tip number 3, keywords. You need to use job-specific keywords, key phrases, and key skills in your CV. Most companies these days use applicant tracking systems to screen candidate CVs. So you want to include the right keywords and key phrases that will make it easier for your CV to be found. This in turn will increase your chances of being called for an interview. For example, when I was a biotech recruiter, I would search for candidates using the following format: clinical research and associate or specialist. This search will enable me to find candidates who had the right job titles, such as clinical research associate or clinical research specialist. Another example is, if I was a tech recruiter, I may search the following: software and engineer or developer and JavaScript. This will help me find candidates with those particular keywords and phrases in their CVs. Second, use action words or verbs to describe your experience. Action words allow you to showcase the work that you performed as an individual. Examples of action words include words like managed, developed, achieved, improved. Examples of action words being used in a sentence include the following: managed all 3 companies' social media accounts, achieved a 15% increase in quarterly sales target, improved the company's product development process. Check the link in the description box for a list of action words you could use to improve your CV. Make sure you sprinkle lots of job-specific keywords and phrases across all sections of your CV. Tip number 4 is to provide evidence to back up your skills and experience. Examples of things that could be considered as evidence include things like awards and achievements, results from performing your duties, numerical evidence like facts and figures to boost credibility. You can include all or some of these type of evidence in your CV. An example of awards and achievement as a type of evidence include things like Employee of the Year 2019 or promoted from junior to senior associate within 12 months. An example of results as a type of evidence is, rather than you just stating your responsibilities, include evidence by explaining the results of you performing your duties. An example is this: developed a robust training program which resulted in 2 employees being successfully trained within 3 months of hire. Use numbers to back up your experience. Numbers make your CV look more powerful and credible. For example, managed a client budget of $2 million for a clinical research project. Led a team of 3 junior project associate professionals. Based on the 4 tips so far, here are 2 examples of effective CVs. Here is an example of an entry-level job hunter. This person hasn't got much experience, so as you can see, the education is right at the top after the profile section. You can also see that this person has done an internship for a couple of months and they describe the practical experience that they acquired. In terms of numerical evidence, you can see that they don't have much numerical evidence, but they do have an understanding of a particular quality standard. Here's an example of an experienced job hunter resume. As you can see, the experience section is at the top of the resume right after the summary. This job hunter describes their practical hands-on experience. And as you can see, they use action words to describe the experience, such as drive, coached, ensured. They use numerical evidence to back up their experience. For example, coach 3 team members. They also use their achievements and awards as evidence of their suitability to the role. For example, they've written Employee of the Year 2011, having managed key projects. They make their CV searchable using keywords, key skills, and phrases. For example, qualified person, GMP and GDP guidelines. Those are examples of keywords and phrases. And finally, they include their education. Education is important, but when you've got so many years of experience, you lead with your experience. So what length should your CV be? For an entry-level job hunter, about 1 to 2 pages. And for an experienced person, about 3 to 4 pages. However, there are no hard and fast rules. The CV can be longer or shorter as required. Tip number 5, which ties into the bonus tip, is to tailor your CV to the job specification. You can increase your chances of obtaining an interview by tailoring your CV to the specific job you're applying to. Review the job description and focus on the following. What key skills is the employer looking for? What experience does the employer value? What education is required in order to be suitable for this role in question? Where possible, use the same keywords and phrases in your CV as in the job spec. Here's an example of a marketing assistant job specification. As you can see in this marketing assistant job specification, the employer is looking for various skills and experiences such as content creation, copywriting, lead generation. So you would then ask yourself the question, do I have the experience to perform these duties? If so, include in your CV and use the same language as in the job description. If you're lacking in some experience, then can you think of times where you had to use similar skill sets? And are those skills transferable? Consider the key phrases that the employer uses. For example, a strong understanding of SEO principles. If you have the experience that the employer is referring to, include in your CV using the same language as the job description. Here's the bonus tip. Save time by using artificial intelligence tools like ChatGPT and Bard AI by Google. AI can write your entire CV for you, or you can use it to get tips and ideas on what to include in your CV. For both tools, you need to provide the chatbot with a detailed prompt. A prompt is just an instruction, but you write it as if you're speaking to a human. Treat it like a conversation and ask for specific requests and explanations. We're going to use ChatGPT by OpenAI. We're going to tailor a CV to a marketing job description. So we need to input specific prompts. Number 1, ask the AI to be an expert and ask it to review and highlight the 3 most important responsibilities in the job description. Then copy and paste the job description into the chatbot. Here's an example of a prompt. Ask the AI to be an expert and ask it to review and highlight the 3 most important responsibilities in the job description. Then copy and paste the job description into the chatbot. As you can see, ChatGTP is generating a response. Here's prompt number 2. Ask ChatGTP to tailor your CV according to the 3 most important responsibilities without telling any lies, and then paste your current resume into the chatbot. And here's the final prompt. Highlight the differences between the new resume you just created and my original CV. And then the chatbot will generate the differences so you can clearly see what has changed. This is so you can see exactly what the changes are and amend as required, because ChatGTP can give inaccuracies. These tools can be really helpful, but make sure you always thoroughly review the final output. There's so much information out there on how to write a good CV. But based on my experience as a pharma and biotech recruiter, I would say keep it simple. See you in the next video.